Hello everybody, this is CholeraSC and I am bringing you a special commentary with a special guest commentator. This will be the MSL Survivor Group A, the very first of the Survivor Tournament. I have with me someone called Hazel, a new StarCraft aficionado to the scene. Hazel is a student at Princeton University, and she actually recently hosted an incredibly successful live tournament there, which involved a whole lot of different players. It was like televised almost, like it was on a big screen TV. It was absolutely awesome, and I wanted to invite her on this series just to hear her talk about StarCraft. She actually came in second place also. Why don't you say hello, Hazel, and just tell the world a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for the introduction, caller. I'm Hazel, and I'm bringing, I guess, the guest commentating, and I hope to, well, just do well enough because caller is a pretty awesome commentator. But yeah, so I guess the game is starting, and we have ForGG spawning in teal at the 11 o'clock position, and
yeah, we got Firefist, yeah, at brown, at the 5 o'clock.
And who is Firefist again?
Firefist? Firefist is, he's like a decent, from what I know about him, he's like a decent Zerg on KTF, but he's kind of like their third line Zerg now, behind like Luxury and, player like 815 and yeah, he's decent, but he doesn't really have that much of a record. I've only seen like 1 or 2 games of his. He overall 21-19. He's 6-6 against Terran. Meanwhile, ForGG, of course, is the MSL champion from 2 seasons ago, and this is Byzantium, by the way, which I think is a little bit Terran favorite against Zerg. But anyway, so what are your predictions for this matchup?
Just based by the statistics themselves, I think ForGG will win, and I have, like, well, Byzantium II, just based on the games that I've played, that reverse ramp is kind of difficult. I mean, the narrow choke, I think, near the expo is just difficult for the Zerg to break out against if it gets sieged. But I really haven't seen this Firefist person play. I mean, I have no idea who he is. ForGG instead is someone who's won an MSL, I think, against Jaedong. So really, yeah. I think, I'm not sure how one-sided it will be, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the assumption that I'm going to make also. Seeing a 12 hatch here from Firefist. Firefist, not a poor player, actually. Now that I remember, he actually is a pretty interesting player to watch, but we'll have to see if he manages to pull off something creative here against ForGG. ForGG going for the 2 racks, actually. I think that's not going to be that good for him, given that they're at diagonal positions. It's going to be the longest way possible to walk on. And I remember playing a bit on Byzantium. It has a lot of hills up and down. We see one of them right here as the drone scout approaches ForGG's base. But it's going to take a while for that medic, for those Marines to get over there to that base. So we're going to have sufficient time, perhaps, for Firefist to get ready for a fast medic Marine rush. I hear from what you're telling me, you're like a jack of all trades, Hazel. She's actually, by the way, she's a lot better at StarCraft, I think, than I am, at least. We've played a couple of times. And your main race is Zerg, right?
Right, the problem with that, though, is that I pretty much only know how to Zerg v Zerg, which means low econ and not building any drones ever, so that doesn't really translate well to ZVT or ZVT.
Sounds like every one of my matchups. Don't build drones.
Yeah, so I also play Protoss, kind of, and Terran. It's strange, I feel like all girls play Protoss just because they're pretty. I know a lot of girls who are just afraid of Zerg because they have like weird larva-looking buildings.
That is interesting. I have never heard of that theory, but that could be part of it. I don't know. I would think girls would be. Yeah, ForGG just expanded. Yeah, sorry. Let's get back to the game. Why don't you commentate this game for a little bit?
Right, so ForGG is going into an expansion after 2 racks. I'm not sure how normal that is. Usually if you go 2 racks, aren't you dedicating yourself a little more to one of those, I don't know, sunken breaks? I guess he realized that he's been scouted out, and I don't know, maybe he just feels like he won't be able to break a sunken, given the cross-diagonal positions. Meanwhile, Firefist has built a lot of Zerglings, but he probably won't be able to get in. And I guess
Yeah.
he's going for layer tech now at his expansion, which is a little more dangerous than building it has at his main base.
Yeah, interesting enough, we're seeing very early engineering bay. We're going to see that super early +1 attack from ForGG. It's an interesting build, sort of an older school build. I have seen 2-racks in a command center before, and you're right. I think it is something like he didn't plan on doing. I think it was a conscious decision almost to change his mind and go for this build instead of going for what he originally intended was probably something like a 2-racks rush. So I think you're right there. I don't know. Given the way this game is opening up, though, I think 4GG is going to be a little bit behind here moving into the mid game because he really he really didn't get that early expansion early enough, and he is going to suffer a little bit because of that. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like Firefist has been interrupted at all, and he actually canceled a Sunken there. So I'm expecting a very standard build here from Firefist. Probably going to go for that Spire, and then go for that Mulus Harass there at that vulnerable natural expansion.
Right. It looks like, well, since that engineering bay will be up, if is that a spire? Yeah, once that spire comes up, he should be ready to build some turrets.
I think we just saw a Overlord die there from Firefist. By the way, the other two players in this MST group are July and somebody called Dr. K. That's right, his name is Dr. K. He was formerly known as Bull T, and if you guys remember from a long time ago, well, not actually a long time ago, but the last MSL prelims, we watched him fail pretty badly in a group that had Flash, Jang B, and Yellow Arnak. He was definitely the odd man out there. So, but I think you found out something interesting about Bull T. Isn't he the captain of some team?
Yeah, apparently he is the captain of SKT1, which doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, they have players like Bisu and Best, right? I mean, both really great Protosses compared to this Bull team. Maybe he's a really good leader type person. I have no idea.
He's a doctor, man. He's Dr. K. What do you think about Dr. K as a name? Is it a bad name or is it the worst name you ever heard?
It sounds like one of those comic book villains, maybe, Dr. K.
That's a good point. Yeah. Anyway, now we're seeing another hatchery being probably built at the lower left, I think. Was it lower left? I don't know. But it definitely looks like the fourth hatch is going up. So incredibly standard build here from Firefist. And we're seeing this game converge to pretty much standard mid games here. 4GG is going to have turrets up just at the right moment. Yeah, we're going to have to see if Firefist knows his Mutalisk micro, and he's also going to switch over to Lurkers afterwards, probably.
It looks like those turrets are up in time, though. I wonder if he's going to use his links at the same time, maybe do some harass, but I think he, 4GG, has his... he might actually try to engage right now, and he might be successful.
Wow. No, it wasn't
Wow,
successful.
that was completely unsuccessful.
Total fail there. I think you got to do more harassment, right, before you actually go for that. You usually want to pick off like the medics and a couple of Marines with your Mulus. You can't just rush in there like that, and he paid the price for that with a loss of a couple Mutalisks, I think. So he's going to be a bit weaker now. He's also going for fast queen here. That's interesting.